bring this down now to a little bit of reality. We've heard a lot about the politics of Landcare and what this new money is going to mean in the regions. So I wanted to give a bit of an example about what it's already meaning in Nambucca Valley. First, a little bit of a history about the Nambucca Valley Landcare for those of you that don't know how it formed. It first formed in 1998, and when it did so, there were 32 different groups, Landcare groups, Rivercare groups and Coast Care groups, all operating within the Nambucca Valley. They were relying completely on volunteers, undertaking projects to improve what they saw as the key issues within their own areas. Nambucca Valley Landcare was originally formed to be a bit of an umbrella organisation under which all of these other smaller groups would sit. We were going to pick up the responsibilities for insurance. We were going to help groups with funding applications, support those groups and individual landholders in the valley to deliver and report on their projects, and run workshops and field days, things like plant identification, weed control and bush regeneration. We also took on the responsibility for delivering projects that were going to give a bit of a benefit to the whole of the catchment. So things like the Land for Wildlife programme, Nambucca Valley Landcare run within our region, and we've now got something like 560 hectares of land within private ownership, which has got conservation covenants on it. We developed a resource kit for new landholders. There are a lot of new people wanting to move up to our beautiful part of the world, and we produced a resource kit that helps them to understand what the different types of legislation were and how they should manage their properties and where to go if they wanted additional advice. We got involved with some of the neighbouring councils and neighbouring Landcare groups to come up with a project looking at Indian myna, which is a fairly serious pest bird in our region. And we've now had something like 1,600 and something or other people who have been volunteers within that programme who have been doing trapping and helping with identification of those birds. We did the Nambucca vegetation planting guide, which I brought with me and then promptly left in my briefcase, so I can't show you a copy of that. But it's a very interesting guide that explains about the different plant species which are endemic to the region, and we had 5,000 copies of that printed and distributed free. We also took a more strategic approach to delivering on-ground works, so we've been preparing river reach plans for each of the 3 valleys that comprise the Nambucca Valley. And we've been reviewing existing local plans, things like the Nambucca Valley River and Catchment Management Study, the River and Wetland Management Plan, and the Nambucca River Master Plan, all of which have been great strategic plans, but have yet to be implemented. So what we've been doing is working with landholders to work out how the priority actions in those plans can be implemented in the future and helping them to seek funding to do so. On the North Coast CMA used to contract the Landcare networks to deliver their required outcomes for capacity building and community support. This resulted in Nambucca Valley Landcare receiving core funding in the order of about $80,000 a year. With the change to the arrangements for local land services, this decreased to $20,000 in 2015-16. As a result, staff voluntarily reduced their number of hours. We had to move the office to much smaller premises of former hairdressers, which is only capable of holding a meeting if you all sit in a line. And we became much more reliant on project funding to cover staff costs. From 2012-13 to 2015-16, our project income as a proportion of our total income increased from 16% to 73%. But as a result, staff had less time to devote to supporting community engagement. With the exception of 2 dune care groups and a group of people who are busy trying to get rid of castor oil plants up in South Arm, the individual groups were no longer actively engaged. And staff who had been with Landcare for a long time were becoming quite demoralised about the situation. All they could see was that they wanted to go back to what it had been like, and they couldn't see a way to get there. When I took over as chair of Nambucca last year, it coincided with the New South Wales Government's announcement about the local Landcare Initiative funding. Through the initiative, North Coast Regional Landcare Network received funding for an additional 3.75 EFT, and that was allocated across the 11 networks that comprise that North Coast Regional Landcare Network, and Nambucca Valley Landcare received 0.3 EFT, which translates to 11.25 hours. Now that doesn't sound very much, but it has proved to be a catalyst for some enormous positive change within the organisation. We didn't want to use the money to just do more business as usual. As I've already explained, we didn't actually like business as usual very much. So we wanted to use this as an opportunity to make a real change to the way that Nambucca Valley Landcare operates. The committee therefore went through a strategic planning process, which was a bit novel to most of them, to work out what we wanted to achieve as an organisation over the next 3 years. And key to this is going to be reinvigorating the individual landcare groups. We now have a vision in our strategic plan, and that is that there is a well-supported, engaged and active landcare community in the Nambucca Valley, achieving improved productivity and environmental outcomes. We also looked at the requirements of the Landcare initiative in terms of what it wanted host organisations to deliver. And we did a bit of a skills audit of the existing staff to identify where we needed to bring in additional skills. We then negotiated new contracts with the existing staff to clearly identify what their new roles were going to be, and we advertised a new position for the 0.3 EFT, with our fingers firmly crossed that somebody would like to come and live in Barrowville for 11.25 hours a week, and that they would have strategic planning expertise and a knowledge of the environment. There is a God. Logan was appointed to this position and will start with Nambucca Valley Landcare at the beginning of July. He was, however, able to take time off from his current position to attend the local Landcare Coordinator initiation and training workshop in Stockton in March, and he's been busy working behind the scenes helping us to develop our action plan for the coming year. So he's going to talk about both these things in a minute. So to wrap up really, the availability of this funding has enabled Nambucca Valley Landcare to again be proactive and forward-looking. It's brought some much-needed generational change to the organisation. It's also provided the committee and the staff with a new sense of optimism and enthusiasm, which we're hoping will now extend into the broader Landcare community. But we clearly recognise that we need to spend the next 3 years wisely, not only by increasing our NRM activities and re-engaging our Landcare groups to broaden the reach of what we do, but also by developing new partnerships and securing new sources of funding, which will ensure the long-term viability of the Landcare community in the Nambucca Valley. Thank you.